Hi everyone, welcome back to the Colour Cave. It's Jem here and we are back for our colour along in Animorphia by Kirby Rosanis. Just a quick recap on where we got to up till this point. We had started at Mr. Right Hand Side Fish here and we had worked a little bit on his scales and also this first fin. So just to let you know the pencils that we have used so far, we have Dioxazine Purple Hue, which is PC132. Hey, that rhymes. We have Parma Violet, which is PC1008. Lilac, which is PC956. And for our oranges, we had Eggshell. Oh, helps if I'm in the camera. PC140. Yellowed Orange, PC1002. And finally, the Mineral Orange, which is PC1033. So we're going to continue on with some of those colours today, but what we're going to do is we're going to mix it up a little bit and we'll do some of the other kind of funky little things that are going on round about as well. So we'll just make a start and we can see how we get on. So I'm not going to lie, it's been a wee while since I did the last video on this, and our mistake with the lip, well, it wasn't really a mistake, was it? It was just a dodgy pencil. This has been bugging me for days and days and days. So I have made the decision to go back in with this Dioxazine Purple, which was our darkest purple. And I'm just going to run that right up the edge of his lip to try and sort of blend it in with the purple because it was kind of bluey, and I'm just going to take that right up to the highlight like so, and just to balance it out I'm putting a little bit under his bottom lip as well. I'll just pull that out a little bit. It's really just to sort of make it look as if it's supposed to be there. I want to thank everyone for the feedback from the last video when we started this. I did feel that I was rambling quite a considerable amount, but it seems to be that everyone's found my explanations helpful. So that is really good to know. So thank you very much, everyone. These things and, you know, the feedback and everything is really good for me because in terms of being a YouTuber, I am still relatively new to this game. So any input and help is appreciated because obviously I want to enjoy what I'm doing, but I want to give you guys what you want as well. So long may it continue. Right, so I want to do a couple of scales. I'm going to start working down here again. And if you remember rightly, what I was doing was going in with the darkest colour. Now I'm just going to pop a piece of paper under my hand so that I don't smudge all this stuff that I've done already. That's better. So going with the guidelines that Kirby's already given us, I'm doing a medium-ish layer of that darkest purple to begin with. And if you remember, because we're on what is essentially the underside of the curvature of the fish, I was just using the two darkest colours down here. So I've got the Parma Violet here, and starting at the other side, medium pressure, I'm just going to put down a layer of that and sort of smoosh it in with the darker colour, and I'm just building it up. So I'm pressing much harder this time, right in at the scale where it tucks in behind the one in front, and then just letting up the pressure as I work towards the right hand side of the scale. And my plan here is to just keep putting these layers down and blending them until the scale itself is relatively smooth, because as we know, fish scales are quite sort of shiny and sleek. Okay. So now that I've jogged your memory a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a couple along here, but I'm going to stick with one pencil at a time, and I'm just going to do these dark areas on each of the scales that I'm going to colour. So I'll do this one and this one. If you are a slow colourist, this is quite a handy technique if you feel like things are taking forever. If you have an area where things are similar or there's a lot of repetition, it is quicker to do all the parts that are the same colour first. It's something that I have found has helped me tremendously because I know I'm a slow colourist. So I'm just going to stick with this little patch. Now if you remember, I did say in the last video that you are better to work little sections at a time, because this, even just the body of the fish itself, it's quite overwhelming if it's something that you're not used to doing. And you can also get fed up quite quickly of, you know, doing the same thing over and over, because you keep looking at it and thinking, oh my goodness, I've only done, you know, a third of the scales, I've still got all this to go. So don't think about the big picture too much, just baby steps. So now I'm back in with the darkest purple and I'm pressing harder this time, starting to get the darkest of the darkest, if you know what I mean, the darkest of the darkest colour down, and just lightening up as I'm coming towards the outer edge of these scales. I can go back with the mid purple, which is the Parma Violet, and just blend that all in each of these little scales like this. I've been really looking forward to doing this today. It is late afternoon, it's 5:20, so I don't know whether some of you might call that evening, I don't know. I have been looking forward to colouring all day. I haven't coloured for about 4 or 5 days for various reasons, and I was so ready to do this today. Okay, so along this bottom edge here, we're just following really what we did before, and it's the same principle really. All we're doing is following Kirby's shadow lines. Just get that light layer down first. Remember, this dioxazine purple is very, very dark. And I'm bringing it out past the shadow, but very, very lightly. I've just passed it and no more. And then I'm going to go over all of it with this Parma Violet. And again, very light hand. You can't see, but if I move my hand, look how far up the pencil I'm holding it. I'm really, really far up. And I'm using the side of the pencil. There we go. Just very, very gently, a little bit at a time. Now, hard pressure in underneath these scales. Think of it as a shadow. I suppose it is a shadow, really. I'm just kind of joining it up with the bit we had it done previously. And just move that to the side so that you can see the part that we had done before. So a medium pressure just at the edge of where those lines were, and then I'm just going to take the lilac and against the outside edge of the fish. I'm just going to put a little bit of that down there. I'm sure last time, I say it's been a while, but I'm sure I did talk about bounce light. So really using the lilac along this edge, that's what we're trying to achieve, and it just helps to blend everything together as well. There we go, that's looking all right, isn't it? Okie dokie. So let's move on and do this fin down here. So we're using our orange combination. Now, as per my usual method, I'm taking my lightest colour, which is the eggshell, and exactly as I've just done up here, I'm holding the pencil really, really far up, and I'm using the side of the pencil. And I'm just going to very lightly put a layer down. There we go. And then I'm going to take my mineral orange, and I'm just deciding where I want these dark patches to be. Now we're going to start right in here. Again, it's really easy because Kirby has left us these guidelines, so it just makes our job a bit easier. Now it looks to me that these are in sort of waves or folds, because this part in here is really dark as well. So I'm going to take that and make that dark under there, like this. And I'm going to do the same here. Now I'm using a medium pressure here. Basically, I'm just following along here. Where the lines are quite close together, that's where I'm using the mineral orange. A little bit in there as well. And then I'm going to take my yellowed orange. And I'm just going to kind of join it up with the mineral orange. I'm starting here and I'm stopping short of this sort of edge because I'm going to do what I did with this one up here and have the eggshell, like a really heavy layer of the eggshell on the outside. Because what's going to happen there is with this back part of these great big fins, that eggshell part there is going to stand out against the orange, which I'm going to bring down to maybe about here. So that'll give it a nice contrast and this part of the fin will stand out more. This part looks as if it's tucked in behind as well, but it doesn't have the same dark lines close together as these parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the mineral orange here and using a heavy hand, I'm just going to fill in the top of that triangle and I'm just going to let up as I get to these lines at the bottom of that section. I'll just carry on here. There we go, that looks pretty good. I'll use the eggshell and just start from the opposite side and work my way back towards the orange. Now using a medium pressure here, this is a very light pencil, so if you're sure you know where your colours are going, it's okay to use a kind of heavier hand. So especially on this paper, it seems to take these pencils really, really well. There we are. Just blending that in. Okay, so now we know roughly where these colours are going. We can start working at them and adding in anything we want to and really joining them all up and getting that nice rich colour like we did here. Just giving my yellowed orange a bit of a sharpen. There's certain parts here now, again this is up to you really, but there's certain parts where I feel there should be a bit of a highlight. Because this looks as if it's tucked in behind this section here, I kind of want quite a pale highlight down, maybe not right from the top, but around this section here. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm using my yellowed orange and I'm putting in what you would expect to do, but I'm just going to leave a sliver about there. Back over this, just sort of make it a bit more solid. Bring this down here. I'm going to put a really heavy line in there just to kind of accentuate the crease a little bit and join that up with the eggshell. Now there's no exact science to this, it is quite a free-flowing organic section of the picture, so there isn't a way that you're going to do it and it's going to look wrong. It is quite sort of a complicated set of lines, so I wouldn't panic too much about getting it absolutely exact. You know, it doesn't have to be scientifically correct, but as long as you've got a feel for it and you can see the flowiness of it, then I think you're going to do good. Bring that down there. Okay, so at this stage now you can see that the mineral orange has kind of faded into the background a little bit. So I'm just bringing that back in now and I'm starting to be a bit more heavy-handed with it in the areas that we'd started with, because we still want them to stand out. This little bit up here too, I think. just going to give this a wee sharpen as well. There we go. And see, there's some areas where you can follow some of these lines as well and just add in, you know, don't be frightened to add in a little bit here and there. As I say, it doesn't have to be particularly scientific. Make a little shadow there. Yeah, that looks okay. I think as time goes on, I certainly, for sure, I know that I am becoming a lot less cautious when I'm colouring in. And I don't know whether it's just practice or the fact that I just have more confidence in my abilities than I did, say, a year ago. But I do find myself being a bit more sort of liberal and perhaps not as tentative as I used to be, and it's actually quite nice because it does make the whole process a bit more sort of relaxing, and you know, that's the idea. So that's good, it's a good feeling, I like it. Alright, so I'm just going to take this. In fact, no, I'm telling you lies, I am telling you lies. I'm going to take this yellowed orange and I'm just going to pop in a little bit there because that looks kind of like a crease to me, and then I'm going to use the eggshell and blend it a little bit and join it up with what's up here. See, it is quite a pale colour, this eggshell anyway. And I'm going to just put in some flicks. If you're going to do that, make sure you've got a sharp pencil so that you get the definition on the flicky strokes. Again, you don't have to do it, it's fine. Now see, this little section here as well, it looks as if it's kind of like hidden. So that makes me want to put in more of this orange. And I said I wasn't going to do it because I wanted the eggshell to stand out. But a little bit won't hurt, surely. So this highlighted area, I'm just putting a little lick of the eggshell in there. Just make sure that this is all blended in together. Good. Now I'm still not happy with my yellowed orange spots. Some of them just seem a bit sort of wishy-washy. So I'm just going to go back over some of them once again, and then I think after that we should be pretty... See that? Yeah, that's making a difference. There we go. All right. I'm just looking at this little guy down here. Look at him poking out. He looks cheeky. The first thing I want to do with this, and I don't think there's any real reason for it, I just have the overwhelming urge to give this little guy an eye. There we go. That's better. Poor little chap didn't have an eye. You can't have that. Now we have to decide what he is or who he is, or I don't know. I don't even know if this belongs to these sort of wispy clouds. They're not clouds, they're underwater. You know what I mean, sea foam. I don't know whether that's part of that or whether it's part of the fish, but I think this might be baby fish. So I'm going to stick with the purple. So I'm going to take the lilac and just rub a quick layer of that all over. And I'm going to leave his lips, I'm going to make his lips orange. Never mind. And just as we did with the jawbone, I'm taking the dioxazine and I'm just going to run it down there, medium pressure. And then I'm going to take the Parma Violet and I'm going to work away underneath. Thinking back to the sort of curvature that we've got on the fish head up here, just on a slightly smaller scale. Darken that down in there because this is, it's kind of hiding underneath the big fish, so we can make this quite dark. If I take the dioxazine and just put in a little shadow down there, and you can blend that out on your way up. Yeah. And if I take the lilac, it's really blunt already. And I'm just using the lilac here to sort of blend this tail section. and everything together. So I'm using a light pressure up round his mouth and just round this eyeball there, because I think he might get a little bit of light just shining down on him, just and no more. So if we stop at about there, that should look okay. Just darken this down here now. Go over that patch of dioxazine, blend it a little bit, down round his mouth. Then in with this lilac. That is just the tiniest tickle of that lilac pencil. Now you might think, you know, why would you leave that there like that? Well, the thing is, when we go to do our pastel background at the end, that little pale patch is just going to pop out a wee bit, and all it's going to do is add to it. It's not going to take anything away from the picture. So I'm now taking my middle orange, which was the yellowed orange, and I am just going to colour his lips in. And then the mineral orange just at the corners there, and a tiny line, almost as if it's like lip liner on that bottom. Right, I think what I'm going to do is we're going to put the eggshell down, and this is only going to take two shakes of a lamb's tail because there's not much there. And just a sort of simple blended gradient. So that's my mid colour. And I might even put a little bit in these lines here. And then just at the base here and along his back a little bit, I'm going to put in some of this mineral orange. There we go. And just go over the top of it with the eggshell. Okay, that doesn't look entirely out of place. These parts here, I don't know, I just don't know what they are, so I'm just going to make them purple, I think. They're of the same thickness, roughly, as this part of the little fish, so that seems to be like the most logical explanation. So I'm just going to go for it. So just a light coat of the lilac, and I'm just going to do what I did up here. I'm going to bring that Parma violet down, and I'm going to bring it round this side here. Dioxazine to make a little shadow bit there. Hard pressure. Same up here. And just let up on the pressure as I come closer to the bottom of the squiggly bits, for want of a better phrase. And then take my lilac and just smooth that out a little bit. Again, you can see I've left a tiny smidge of white, like the tiniest smidge of white. You don't have to do that. I am a person that likes to do that. That's just my style, you know. Okay, that looks all right. I'm still not convinced that it belongs to either little fish or big fish, but we're going to go with that just now. Now for this sort of cloudy part here, again, I'm trying to bear in mind that our background is going to be this turquoisey colour. So we're going to have this turquoisey colour all around here. So these sort of wispy parts, I still kind of want them to fit in terms of colour scheme, but it's making sure that they still have their own place and they stand out, especially when we've got really vibrant colours with our fish here. So there's the colour there. So what I want to do is I want to find a paler pencil that kind of goes with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a blend of this pencil, which is the Muted Turquoise PC1088, and I'm going to mix it in with some of the Sky Blue Light, which is PC1086. How easy is that to read because it's black? Again, you don't have to take too much time over this. The good thing about this is because it's a teeny tiny area, if we feel it's not really turning out the way we want it, it's not a huge disaster because it's in such a small part. So once again, what I'm going to do is take the lightest colour, which is the sky blue light, and I'm just going to put in a wee coat of that. Now you may not be able to see this very well on camera just because it is a very pale colour, but I promise you I'm actually putting the pencil in the paper. So if I do that, now we don't need to make a great big colorific statement with this, it's just to give it an accent and to give it the differentiation between what will be the sea and the, you know, the sort of little bit of itself. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is sharpen a pencil. Goodness me. Right, better. I'm going to follow this curve here. Now I'm going really lightly and I'm kind of like using a feathery motion, the way that you would feather out the edge of a colour if you were going to blend it. And I'm just going to do a little bit down here, and I'm just doing this by eye. I'm not necessarily following a particular line or anything like that. And I'll do the bit in the middle. I'll maybe put a little bit in there as well. And then round here, like this. Maybe down here too. Another light layer of sky blue. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to darken down where I've already put the muted turquoise in. I'm just going to add like one sort of dark line almost like that. And I'm going to do the same here. It's certainly more interesting than just flat colouring. And I'll do it up here too. So I'm just going back to the areas where I've already put that muted turquoise down and just adding in like little accents. Now you might think to yourself, why is she bothering to do this in such a tiny area? But if it's something that you're going to repeat in several areas of the picture, that's what helps bring a picture together, and it just makes it a lot more cohesive and gives it a sort of more professional veneer, if you like. Not that we're professionals, but you know what I mean. Alright, so last layer, and I'm medium pressure this time, and I'm just kind of going over the muted turquoise and pulling it out into the paler areas. So I'm deliberately going in that direction. And I'm going to do the same with this little tail here as well. Now this works really well for clouds too, and it works with any colour. If you have a slightly darker colour and then a pale colour like sky blue light, if you want that sort of very gentle colour gradient, then it's a really handy thing to do is when you're finished laying down your darker colour, use the paler pencil to blend, but actually deliberately start in the darker shade and you will be able to drag it out a little bit. It's not going to be huge, but that's not the feel that you're going for. You know, you want something that's quite subtle. So if I just take this back out a bit now, even to there, even at that distance, you can see that there is a hint of colour there because we've kept the colours quite pale. When we go to put this shade down, it's going to match, but you're still going to be able to see because we've used the paler colour over the top of it, it's going to just stand out that little bit more, you know, it's going to be pulled forward because it's a lighter shade. So that's going to look really nice. And if we carry this on, perhaps in some of these parts as well, it's going to look awesome. Alrighty, so we're going to go back to some scales now. Now this was about the last point where we used just the two darkest colour. After this we started going in and, you know, having the highlights in. So maybe what we'll do is we'll do the ones up to here so that we're kind of going along in a gradient. Now if you remember, we had this guideline, you can still see that very faintly. That was where the highlight on the actual fish was going to be. So I'm going to start here, and when we were up near this highlight we were only using two colours. So using the lilac, I am going to go in a little circular motion, really light hand, and I'm drawing in my highlight, and I hope you saw that there. I had to concentrate, I couldn't look at the monitor at the same time. But I'm deliberately leaving that so that it is the highlight. And I'm just going to go and put that layer of lilac down, and then with the Parma Violet I'm going to go into where the shaded area is, and I'm going quite heavy here and just letting up as I get towards that highlight. And then going back with the lilac, I nearly said lavender there, I'm not even using lavender. and just work my way around, blend that in and up towards my highlight. Be very careful to preserve your highlight. It is important because that's what sets a piece off. Okay, so we'll do the same with the next one along. I'm deliberately staying away from the scales where I've put that highlighted area in. I won't deal with that highlighted area until we've filled in this whole section all the way down. So the other really good thing that happened to me today, apart from being able to sit down and colour this picture, which I really, really wanted to do, was I went and got my wedding nails filed down. And my wedding, it's shellac that I get, which is gelish, you know, it's like a UV gel coating that they put on, and it lasts for weeks and weeks. But if I was getting to the stage, I'd grown my nails really long for my wedding and they were beautiful, they were absolutely lovely, but they are not practical in the slightest. And I was at the point where they were getting in the way of my day-to-day life. I couldn't do up buttons and I can't type properly. So I phoned the salon and I just said to the girls, I was like, please take these nails off and file my nails down. I can't do this anymore. So I went and got that done, and they are quite short, but it is so nice, see, to be able just to do that and I can actually feel my fingertips touching the paper. I'm just glad to have my motor skills back in my digits. It's ridiculous. So yeah, that was good today. And hey, it almost matches the fish. I suppose it's a bit pinkier. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was a relief. So we're going down into these mid scales now, and you can see there that I've just started to use a hint of the darkest purple. So we have to keep looking back to what we've done so that we maintain that consistency throughout our entire fish body, because you're going to end up with some pretty wonky looking scales if you don't. So with these two, I've just done the coat of lilac with the highlight, and on this bottom one here, I'm going to put in a tiny wee squish of this dioxazine. I'm pressing quite hard and just feathering it out. I don't want to go crazy with it there because that is kind of like the midsection where we are using the three colours, and it is quite a tight area to fit three colours into. However, we're awesome, we can do it. Back in with the lilac. There we go, and just go over everything. That looks pretty good. I might even bring a bit more of the dioxazine in just at the very bottom here. That was maybe too much, but we'll live. And the one higher up, I'm just going to put a tiny bit in there. I've got my Parma Violet. Back up with this lilac. Kind of tidy this up a bit. Okay, that looks good to me. Pressing hard now. Get these scales sorted out. So one of the other exciting things that Mr. Jim and I decided is that we have sat down and written all of our thank you notes for all our wonderful gifts for our wedding. Everyone has been so generous. It was actually quite overwhelming. I was shocked at the number of gifts and well wishes and cards and everything we got. It was so lovely. Once we had gone through everything, we never asked for any wedding gifts. We just didn't think it was appropriate for us. But a lot of people did give us money of some description. And we decided that what we would do with that money was we would split it in half, and one half we would put into our savings and the other half we would spend. So, much excitement ensued about what we were going to spend it on, and I decided to use it to buy some art supplies. Now, I bet you're all really surprised about that. So, yes, one of the things that I bought was a 3D pen. I have always wanted to try one, and I just thought, yes, do you know what? It's not something I would normally spend money on, but seeing as this is us treating ourselves, that is what I am going to buy. So I am eagerly awaiting the delivery of my 3D pen, and when I do get it, we are going to try it out. Yep, and you guys can watch and get a really good laugh out of it. So, yep, you can watch this space for a 3D pen video. I always find them quite entertaining. I know I've watched quite a few people try them, and it's, yeah, it's funny. I'm not gonna lie, it's funny. Apparently they're quite difficult to get the hang of, and I can understand that, you know, that makes sense. Okay, scales are looking pretty good now. I'm just wondering whether I should just continue on. I think I'm going to do another sort of stripe of the dark scales. So again, just the same thing as before. This isn't very exciting, is it? Just the two darkest purples. So the trick is as well, I notice here that my pencils are getting blunt quite quickly. It's important to keep a really good point on these when you're doing this, because you're working in such a small area. And again, because we're working in the lower portion, I'm not putting any highlights on these ones. The other thing that I bought as well with my share of the spending money was the final set of metallic gelatos. I think I have most of the other ones, but there was a set with metallic colours in that I didn't own, and so I've ordered them as well. So I'm waiting on those. And the final thing that I bought was a set of posable figurines which are used for drawing. You know, you can put them in different positions, and you can buy, I'm sure you've all seen the wooden mannequin type ones. You mean, you get them in IKEA for a couple of quid or a couple of dollars if you're in the States or Australia, and they're not great, to be honest. My human anatomy in terms of drawing is pretty poor, which is one of the reasons why I wanted these posable models. But the wooden ones are quite limited in the movement range and stuff. And one of the things that I am working on just now is my human anatomy. So I wanted to push the boat out and get the expensive ones, so I did. So I might even do an unboxing video on that. I know that some of you that are watching this are more colourists rather than people who perhaps draw, but it'll be entertaining if nothing else. Or, you know, maybe you're the kind of folks that like to just have me rambling on in the background while you're colouring, and if that's the case, well, you're more than welcome to come and watch any of my videos. Here we go, that looks good. I'm absolutely gobsmacked at the number of you that have left comments saying, oh yeah, you keep talking, you keep rambling on, I can sit and listen to you all day. How nice is that? It's a shame my husband doesn't agree with that statement. I always say, and it's a kind of standing joke in my family, there's I'm one of these people that's a jack of all trades, master of none. I'm pretty good at a lot of things, but there are very, very few things that I'm really good at. One of the things I'm really good at is talking. And that's just, I'm quite conscious of it, especially in a social setting, and sometimes I can hear myself sort of rambling on, and I think to myself, Jem, just shut up, nobody wants to listen to you. And it's something that I'm quite self-conscious of, because I literally can't help it. Like, I really can't. I'm just a person that talks, that's what I do. And I know, especially for perhaps quieter people, I can be a wee bit full on sometimes. And I try really hard to be aware of that when I'm in company, especially if there are quieter people, because I don't want to overshadow them, because it's just, you know, it comes across as being really rude. It's something that I really struggle with myself for, and I feel kind of bad sometimes for not being able to shut up. But at least here on YouTube and in the Colour Cave, I can put that particular talent, and I use that term loosely, at least I can put it to use here. That's always nice. But yes, definitely one of my my failings as a human being, I'm afraid. Complete inability to be quiet most of the time. Okay, these scales are coming along nicely now. I'm not going to explain what I'm doing now and what pressure I'm using, because you guys will know by now, especially if you've already seen the first video. As you go along as well, you'll get more comfortable with what you're doing, and you can go a little bit quicker. I'm starting to speed up a wee bit now. I can feel myself getting a bit quicker, which is always good, because we don't want to be here forever. I'm actually amazed at how quickly we're going along with these scales. It's quite good. That one's not dark enough though. I do take the opportunity to stop and pause every couple, you know, every couple of rows of scales, just so that I can see that I'm, you know, doing what I should be doing and that everything's turning out right. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that so far. Now, what I'm going to do here is I am going to do this section of the fin. I just wanted to find a good place to stop, and I think that this line here is a good enough place for me to stop. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so that you can see me do the whole thing, you know, so you don't miss out this bit down the bottom. Start up here. Okay, so let's do that, and I think after that I'm going to stop there. So let's see if we can get out our oranges again. Right, so taking my eggshell, just a wee light coat in there. I'm going to bring this down. Just do all these wee sections. Really light hand. Just get that base colour down. Okay. Now, because this is all tucked in here, I'm going to use quite a heavy pressure, and I'm really going to get that mineral orange in. Get it down in. And again, what that's doing is that's giving us a really nice contrast against this fin here. Because I don't want them kind of getting lost in each other, because there is quite a lot, you know, there's quite a lot going on here. So we don't want that. There we go. So that just seems like a natural stopping point. Just want to make sure that's nice and smooth. Good stuff. And then down here, because this is behind the smaller fin, I'm going to follow Kirby's lines. Makes it really easy peasy. I know people a lot of the time look at Kirby's work and they find it quite overwhelming, but see, having this level of detail, especially when you're doing things like this, it's actually a really big help, and it makes colouring it easier, not more difficult. Because he's essentially pointing his finger at places for you to show you where to colour, and, you know, it's just been real helpful. Maybe I'm biased, I just love his work. I just absolutely love it, I really do. I'm going to put a bit of that mineral orange in there, but I'm not going to bring it too far down. Just following the lines. There we go. Now I'm going to take my mid colour, the yellowed orange, and a light hand. Just start to join that up, blend it in a wee bit with the darker orange. There we go. And then take my eggshell. Slightly heavier hand this time. Join it up with the yellowed orange. Alright. Now before I go in a little bit heavier, what I'm going to do is just some of these details round the bottom. I'm just going to fill them in a wee bit. And all I'm doing is just looking at the lines again that Kirby has left. Not rocket science. You don't even have to do all of this again. This is one of these things where it's kind of preference, I think. But it just adds a bit of interest as well, I think. Another little bit in there. Oh, Kirby, I love your lines. Okay, right, now we're going to get down to business and we're going to start blending these properly. So medium pressure with my yellowed orange and really work it into that mineral orange. And then lighten up as I get to here. And I'm just going to go back in there and darken that down a little bit, so that we've still got that nice contrast. You can see how much that's standing out now next to there. That's perfect. That is exactly what I was looking for. That was exactly what I was after. So the technique has worked, which is ideal. I think it's quite important when you're working in big pictures like this, it's essential that you have an idea in your head of what you want to achieve for each section. As I said before, you don't need to look at the big picture, but whatever part it is you're working on, that is, you know, have an idea of how you want it to look. But just do it section by section like that, and you won't get overwhelmed if you do find them a wee bit intimidating, which I can understand, but there's no need for you to be. It's just lines on a piece of paper. That is all it is. There we go. If I get that nice and heavy and dark there, makes that fin above it just pop. That's awesome. That's what we want. I'll take my eggshell and just blend this in nicely. And I am trying to work round where I've put the yellowed orange in these parts. I am trying to work round it because I want that to stand out. I don't want to smudge it, like, you know, smoosh it in and blend it in. That's not the aim of the game. So... But this is quite good, this fin section, because you can work in the little sections at a time. And that's pretty good. Bring my yellowed orange down a little bit here. Maybe even a wee bit further, just because I can. Just trying to tidy up here. I was a bit liberal there. Go, good. Get my yellowed orange out. Something that I haven't done, aside from colouring, is I have not been running since I got married. And I feel kind of bad. I've really struggled since we came back. I've really struggled to get back into my normal routine, and I don't know why that is. There isn't any real reason for it. I've kind of caught up with everything now. The first week back was wild, and you're kind of in that position where all of your time was taken up organising the wedding, so everything else kind of gets shunted to the side. So when I came back, I was sort of like, oh my goodness, right, you know, we need to deal with, there's some things that were sort of left by the wayside. So I've got through all that, but I just can't seem to get back into my normal pattern, like even to my like sleeping pattern. See, I haven't been out running. Cooking is just, oh my goodness. I normally cook all the meals at home, and I actually have no inclination to cook, which is really unlike me. I normally quite enjoy cooking, but I just don't want to do it, and I feel kind of bad for Mr. Jem because he's used to having, you know, tasty meals put down in front of him, and I'm just like, nah, you know what? You're having like beans and chips or something. So yeah, I'm gonna have to try and sort of jolt myself back into some sort of routine. Do you know what? See, I was going to stop there, but seeing as we're here, I'm just going to finish off this big orange fin at the bottom here. I'm just going to go for it. So I'm just going to take my eggshell. Again, I'm going to treat the tail separately, so we're going to come round here and round all these little fiddly bits. Oh guys, I'm so sorry. I had a complete camera malfunction at this point and I've lost the footage of me colouring that bottom fin. I do hope that you had seen enough from the first part that I did to allow you to carry on and finish off the section that I have done. Right, the last part that we're going to do, and this is going to be the last part, is I'm going to do this wispy bit here, going back to these two colours again, which was muted turquoise and sky blue light. So we'll get a bit of zoom on. Down here. So that's the sky blue light, and I'm just going to do what I did before and squiggle down a quick layer of that with a really light hand. I'm just tickling the paper, and we're going to go all the way down here. Make sure we're not missing any bits. You do have to be kind of careful with that because it is such a pale colour. It's easy for you to miss sections and you don't realise you've missed them. And there's this little tail here. Okay, so let's start working with the muted turquoise. So light hand and just wee circles. I'm just kind of going to go in a bit of a flight of fancy here again. It's kind of fun. Makes me feel liberated. Again, feel free to go in your own direction with this. You don't have to follow what I'm doing. Well, you don't have to do anything anyway, but you know what I mean. I'm just kind of following some of Kirby's lines, and you know, I'm going to add in little sections of my own, like here, maybe here. Definitely here. There we go. I might even bring this all the way down. Do that bit there as well, and just a little tiny bit there. And maybe a tiny bit up here. I'm going back with the sky blue light. Again, very, very light hand, and I'm just going back over everything that we've already done. Making sure I cover the entire area, including the parts with the muted turquoise in. Sing a wee song while I'm doing it. Do 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 do. Okay. Awesome. And in with a bit of a heavier hand now, and just accenting those turquoise areas where we've already covered. That was perhaps a bit heavy-handed, but never mind, we'll fix it, it'll be okay. And here, that was a better effort this time. Goodness me. Just as well this isn't my day job. There we go. Quite happy with that. Now you can keep going with this until you're happy with the level of the level of coverage, or the saturation if you like. You don't have to, you know, you can make this turquoise a lot darker if that's what you desire. I just kind of want it to, I kind of want it to match the watery background. almost blend in with it, but not quite, which is why I'm keeping it quite pale. But the good thing about this is if we do put the pastel background in and I decide that it's not looking right, I can always go in much heavier with the pencil in these areas if that's what I want to do. Once again, that's the joys of starting light, guys. You can always go back and add in, but you can't fix it as well or fix it as easily if you are going the other way. Okay, so last coat now with the sky blue light, and as I did last time, in these dark areas I'm starting there and I'm going to try and sort of smoosh them out a little bit. Just pull some of that turquoisey colour out a wee bit. And it's quite subtle as well because you're using such a light pencil. It works quite well, I like it. I do it all the time. It's good. This bit right here as well. Oh. Come out, come out. There we go. Starting to come along now, coming along nicely. I think I'll have to stop there for today. It's getting later on into the evening, and whether I like it or not, I'm actually going to have to go and cook something for Mr. Jem. So when we come back next time, we will do some more of our scales and we'll maybe do the tail, and that means we can tackle some of these little guys round here and we can finish off this corner. That sounds like a good plan. Thanks for joining me again today, guys. It's much appreciated as always, and I shall see you in the next video. Have a good evening.